Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne or rum.
Yay, we're here. Hello. I call you Dr. Elaine now because you are the clever one. You are the genius of your craft for sure. But,
No comment. No comment. I'm not a doctor, but I will take it. I will wear it proudly. And don't anybody get in my way if I'm being called doctor. Don't get in my way.
Some of my friends beat me up when I call them doctor because, as a Nigerian, this is a top credit I can give anyone. It's this top accolade that if you're a doctor, Nigerians will never believe you're not. We'll never forgive. We'll never forget. Even if you say, "I've stopped being a doctor years ago," we're like, you say a doctor.
Well, you know what? It's a level of respect, and sometimes you've earned it, but some people don't want to give it to you, even though you earned it. Like in the U.S., when people do their dissertation and everything, at the end of that, that's when people start to call them doctor. And many people have told me that some of the white people in the room will call them by their first name, even though they're now a doctor.
How rude! How truly rude!
It is, and some of them just correct them right there and then to get in the habit of correcting people, because when people disrespect you, it sort of stays on you, and eventually the person you take it out on is probably somebody with something very minor, but you just like remembered it, and you just like it just builds up to the point that you just like let loose. And hopefully it's not at home with the dogs and kids.
I demand to be called Dr. Any. I really do. That's my first one today, right? My first rule now, the real joke for you, my friends. If anyone wants to make me a doctor, make me a doctor, please. And I love an honorary doctorate.
I know somebody that can do that for you.
Really? Let's talk.
It's not a real doctor thing, but she can maybe take you through one of her programs. Yeah. And they call the title a little something doctor of blah blah. She can create something that's worth you carrying with you. Yeah.
Look, I was talking to someone. Please do. I was talking to someone. I think some people want you to pay them for the accolade. And I'm all right with that. So there's someone I'm talking to, Godsu University. So they came to me on here, like, we'll give you a doctorate. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll take it. You have to apply. I'm like, I'm too special to apply for anything. But I applied. I still applied, right?
Well, you know what? For all the people you have on here, you could actually have a thing of a challenge. It's like, hey, why don't we all go for a doctorate at the same time? And it's like 50 people working together to get this thing. Oh my God, that would be massive. And at the end, we're going to go and celebrate in Hawaii or Nigeria or Ghana.
Dr. Toba, imagine that. Imagine that. You know what the worst thing is? You know what the worst thing is, Dr. Elaine? Really? I got a doctorate when I was 21, when I finished my master's. They sent me a doctorate certificate. Right, and I was like, I'm too young. I don't want it. I gave it back to them. I'm like, I want a master's. They're like, if you insist, okay. I wish I'd just kept it now, but
they sent it to you by mistake.
What? It's what they gave me. It's what they awarded me. So my foolish me thought I was too proud to take it. I wanted a master's because I didn't want to be an academic.
There's some kids 12 years old and 14-year-olds graduating from college in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's just like the brain is so souped up, and I like that. I really like that with kids. But we're here today to talk about laughter. I mean, people who listen to this recording will be like, "What the hell? Bring it on!
Make me a doctor." That's not funny. That's a real thing, my friend. If you know someone like we can,
Yeah,
then let's make it happen.
and I'm glad that you brought it on, that you talked about it, because it's an opportunity. Maybe later on I'll say, hey, Annie, let's have a private meeting and talk about that doctorate.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
know,
And
the worst thing though, some people who have doctorates have told me, is that they're still not getting the jobs and the respect. I'm like, what the hell?
I don't want. I don't want a job. I have the life already. I just
But
want.
it is, you're a doctor. You expect that as you walk with your robe, the doors, just like in the Harry Potter, the doors just fly open. You
No,
just,
I don't think that far.
everything in life is perfect.
All I want is just to be called Doctor Any. That's all I want.
Then you
And
have
for
to
it to
do
be real.
the work for it. And you're
No,
not too
no.
old. There are people.
I want someone to bless me with it. I want them to say, Any,
No, no,
you've
no,
done so much
and
work in life.
also, yeah, well, someone could bless you with it, and then you go someplace, and they say, "We'll have all the doctorates come on stage. We're going to have a challenge of knowledge." You'd be like, "Oh shit."
I don't
Oh
care about
man,
knowledge. I want an honorary doctorate. I'm very clear, Dr. Yvonne. I
there
want
are
honorary.
honorary doctorates out there. I don't know
Yeah.
how good those people feel if they were asked about knowledge.
I
They
don't care
got
about
it because
knowledge.
they were a good
No, 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 no. I want it
jumper.
because of who I am. I want it for recognition of
I
my
don't.
hard work in life,
We'll
my
talk
success
about
in
that.
life.
We'll talk
Yes.
about that. I'm not one to give out stuff like that, especially something that important. I think that, yeah, I need to see you sweat. I want to see I want to see snot coming out of your nose. I want
Let's
to
do
see
that.
blood. I want to see blood
That's
coming
what
from
I
your
don't
fingers.
want to be doing any of that. I just wanted to say, Andy, you're so
Anybody
great. You're so
anybody that
great.
goes for anything great, I want to see them crying. I want them broken, so that
My
I can then bring them
no,
from the bottom up.
no. No, I have a master's, so that's the next thing to a doctorate anyway.
Well, that's
No.
good.
So
That's very good. You're actually a step ahead of me, so I'd have a lot to do to get up to where you are and get to the masters. You know,
you're so kind. You're making me blush now. I'm gonna go red. Anyway, let's welcome our
black
friends.
men blush. Let me look that up.
It looks
I
funny.
know
It looks
black
funny
men
when I do it.
blush.
I promise you. It looks
So
like when
we're
I
here
go
to
red.
talk
It's
about
hilarious.
humor, and I'd like to make sure I capture questions from the audience. What does
Mhm.
the audience feel about humor? I mean, the pictures here, Mike LeBlanc,
Yeah,
that's a
nice
very
to see you.
nice picture. He's
Welcome, Mike.
smiling. Probably at the time you took that picture, he was inside saying some bad words to him. So,
Hello,
you know,
Sean.
and you smile a lot, Annie, but like what they say, what little babies, when they smile, they're like, oh, it's probably gas. Like, oh, look at that baby smile. No, it's gas, just gas.
I smile out of happiness. I'm always happy, and the
Well,
life
that's
is
good.
beautiful.
That's good. But the thing is, when you are doing a professional presentation, you cannot be, if you're going to be like Richard Pryor or something running all over the stage,
Mm-mm,
you're only
mm-mm.
going to give 1 or 2 points, and probably people won't care because they're there like, oh, Richard Pryor, what does he know about IT and leadership? Nothing. And they want the laughs, and maybe he'll come with 4 topics that he'll blend in, but mostly he's going to be delivering his material. So I want to make sure that as people listen to this recording, they come back and listen to it again, that you realize that in order to deliver a presentation, in order to deliver a presentation and a presentation that it has laughter, you have to know your audience. You have to
Mm.
know the areas that they've struggled with. You have to know a punchline or two that you can say that will, number one, bring stress, but then give them a relief, because the joke is that you're taking them in a certain direction, but then you just turn left and you deliver a different answer, and then they're like, oh my god, where'd that come from? So let me
Mm.
just impart a joke. It has nothing to do with speaking, but it just gives you an idea about how jokes are created, right? So you have this idea, right? You come up with your idea, then you then start to fill that idea in, because at the end you want it something funny. So I'm going to tell you the joke, and then I'm going to talk about the formula. And by the way, those who are listening, this is Elaine Jackson. I am a business coach, an author, and a speaker. I'm with Holistic Project Management Consulting. Been in business for over 23 years. That is not me in the background jumping, although I used to be so active in fencing, martial arts, volleyball, gymnastics, tennis, you name it, anything running, jumping, kicking, that was me. So I'm a little bit older now and I have to be very careful or else some things will break. So, but no, what doesn't break is my ability to speak and help others to understand about public speaking. So here's the joke, right? There was these two priests, and priests are, everybody knows what a priest is, somebody that works in the Catholic Church, and they wear those robes with a collar, and they have rosary beads, and there's these two men walking down in an inner city area. And so to avoid insulting anybody, I'm not going to name any city, town, street, or anything like that. But you get the idea that if it's inner city, it's not like full of green grass and nice lawns and everything. Okay, it's just a rough street. And they noticed that down the alley there were two men. So I'm setting up the story about priests, and they look down the alley, saw two that were shooting up. They were shooting drugs in the alley. And the priests were like, oh my God, this is so wrong. So they both went down the alley and they said to the two men, my sons, why are you doing drugs? Don't you know that you can get AIDS from sharing needles? And the drug dealers, the drug users, they looked up, their eyes were all messed up, and they like looked, the priest were over here, but they looking over here, and they were like, Father, we know all about that, we're okay. The father was like, no, this is wrong. They're sharing the needles. You can't get HIV. And he says, don't worry, we're wearing condoms.
I'm allowed to laugh. I'm allowed to laugh.
So
I will not even try and tell a joke like that. I will not even go there. No, right.
Well, that's a little bit on the edge. I try not to go too much on the edge. But what I want to do from those who are on the call or those who are going to listen to the recording, let's take a moment to write down what you think is important in a joke. You heard my joke. I'm not the first person that ever told you a joke, so you know other jokes. I'm not asking you to write the joke. I'm asking, what do you think? How do you think that punchline should be? Or like if this was a really large audience, I might have said, is there anyone here from the Muslim faith who's a female? Can you excuse yourself? This is going to be a little bit on the edge. It wasn't too much on the edge, but it was a little bit. And so they would be like, oh, no, go ahead. But I think it's important for people to tell you to go ahead. So this way, when you deliver it, they can't say, oh my God, you insulted me. Well, look, we said this was for adults. We said, and the workshops that I run for speakers on humor, we try to keep it for adults. So if people want to belt out a couple of bad words, it's okay, because we're keeping it 18 and over, and people shouldn't have it on high speaker so their kids can be in the background listening. So I coach people on speaking, how to find their voice, how to use their body language and their tonality to share the message. So if you could, I'd like to see who's in the room. If you can sort of go back to the panel so I can see you. I see myself. I love looking at myself. Oh, that's look good. But, and by the way, as I get older,
is the one here.
As I get older, I do not keep. I like to look at destroying all the mirrors. So then I think of myself as when I was 25, and mentally, if I don't see any difference, then guess what? There's no difference. So
I agree. You look about 24 if that helps. How's that?
thank you, thank you. So, Annie, I want you and Tobalova, if you could, write down what do you feel, or put it in the chat. What do you feel is important in order for you to give a speech? In order for you to listen to a speech, because you saw there were some things that I did when I delivered this speech, and I'm wondering if you even saw it, or if you were just sitting there like a victim waiting to be hit with the punchline. So, what are we coming up with?
Right.
You
What,
know,
what,
Sorry about that.
the goal of any speech or the goal of anything is just to pass down a message, right? And to communicate to people. So when you're sharing your message or when people is listening to you, we must make sure that what we are, some people will actually be talking and we wouldn't even have an idea of what they are saying. Yes, they are talking. We wouldn't even have an idea of what they're talking about. Just as the way you finish your this thing now, you actually made me laugh too. Just by saying like, "Oh, I look beautiful" and things like that. It really, really got me laughing and things like that. And that's the essence of speaking, right? The feelings you want to leave them with. How are they going to feel? That feeling is the beautiful part of things, like when they don't have to question themselves that what is Tobiloba talking about, or what is any talking about, what is any Elaine talking about, that I need to understand. So the moment when people have to ask themselves twice before they understand what you're saying or the message you're passing across, definitely is not a good one. So you want to leave them with clarity. You want us to understand what you are passing down to us, so we don't have to be left on. So the message you give, just quite some minutes back now, is still ringing. But I'm sure it's the same thing with the people who are listening to us. They still feel like the moment I still remember, hey, I look good. It still make me to feel happy. So in other words, when you're saying something to people, when they still remember it, they should still be saying that, okay, this is what this person is talking about. So they don't have to ask themselves twice, two times, and
okay.
be like, what is this trying to say, and things like that. So that's going to be my opinion on that point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tobalova. Thank you. So Annie, I know that this is an area that you struggle with a bit. So what different than what Tobalova shared? What do you feel should be? What do you feel is missing when you try to deliver a speech? Do you start laughing before the punchline and you can't deliver it? Or do you think it's so funny that you become hilarious and you fall on the floor laughing and people are like, what's happened to me? You have a stroke? What's going on here? I mean, what happens when you try to deliver a speech that you feel is not working?
Okay, I can go there. So let me welcome Sharon Rose. How are you doing, Sharon Rose? Great to see you again today. Look, I put in the comments what I find, what I try to do, right? I think it's I don't go out to tell jokes. I don't go out to be funny. I don't tell funny stories. What I do is in the course of my presentation, I will find the bits that's a part that's funny. And, is it funny? How is it funny? Maybe it's funny peculiar. That's my idea of funny. So I'm not like you just did. I will never tell a joke in a pastor's presentation, right? What I'll tell you is the story with maybe with some irony in it. Maybe with something it's a truth, but it's almost like a tragedy true. That's what I call true tragedy, right? So let's say, like for the Ghana trip, for example, the Ghana presentation, right? And I said one of the bits I hope they will laugh at, which they may not. I won't die if they don't, right? Is telling them that people will not be on your side when you start on your journey to live your dream. How you doing, Gladys? I see you, my friend. Right. So I'll tell them, but people will be on your side. So I mean, to give you a perfect example, to give them a perfect example. So when I told my wife I'm coming to speak on stage here, you know what she said?
What?
What you can't talk properly anyway, right? It's not
Mm.
funny, but it's funny. It's not funny, but clearly I can talk.
She said you can't talk
Yes.
anyway. And funny
Yes.
anyway, or you can't talk.
I can't talk without stammering. Was her point, right?
Really?
So as much as that is, it's a true tragedy. If you know what I know, but
Why do you think that that's you think the tragedy is that she said it, or she said it to you?
That she said it, that it's a perfect example of people being people. So the tragedy is that it's not true. Clearly, I can talk. That's why I'm on stage.
Yeah, but the dynamics on stage is different than the dynamics with your spouse. Now, for a spouse to say something like that, I mean, and what was your response when she said that? I mean, I'm not getting into your marriage or anything.
No.
I'm not going to get you divorced tonight. Maybe.
No,
That's what you want. You
can't get into our marriage. No, it's not true.
Not helping you.
It's not true. No. My response was simply, "Well, I'm gonna go, and here I am on stage for the kids when I get the next Friday."
Okay,
that's the point.
So what do you think I would have said if my husband said to me, "What are you doing going on stage? You can't talk anyway."
Right, shock.
What would I?
Shock,
I would have said immediately. Well, there was like 4 guys that really enjoyed what I had to say last night.
Right, shock. It says shock and a chuckle. The irony is what I call it.
It's a pardon me, but I think it's a area of disrespect.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's my point to the kids.
Yeah, but I think that when it's like my daughter and I don't agree. She doesn't have any entrepreneur, not a drop of blood of entrepreneurship in her, not a drop. And so when I talk about going on calls, what are you doing that for? That's a waste of time. You just go get a job. She can't see the workings of staying up, fixing a funnel, putting it out there, talking to people, having these talks, making an offer at the end of the talk. She's like, "Oh my God, that's too much. Just go get a job." Well, she's a nurse. So, okay, fine. But this is where my passion lies. This is where my sweet spot is in helping people. I've tried the corporate thing, and you want to be like powerful, and they're like, "No, you stay in quadrant A1. That's your office." So yeah, I hear with you, but I think that also maybe what you need, and that's just me making a quick assessment, is that you need a couple of quick comebacks. We call it in some circles a slap back. That somebody says something to you and immediately, boom. And it needs to have enough power and hit with it that the person says, was I insulted? They can't figure out. It feels like an insult, but it also felt like a joke. And it's a way of coming back and just boom. You've got to make a list of 10 things you can say. If they say this, I'll say that. If they say this, I'll say that. And, you get in the elevator. Oh my God, what's a big black man like you doing here? You find something funny. They said, well, I'm looking for the safe on the roof because that's where they keep all the bonds and money. And don't smile. They'd be like, is he telling the truth or is he lying? You have to come with something that's so high and boom, it hits a ceiling and boom. It's like when you take a ball in a gym and you hit it on the floor and it hits a wall and then it comes back down, or you play racquetball and you hit the ball and it hits the wall and it hits the back wall and you've got to come with comments, and you want it to be enough of a sting that the person says, what do you mean by that? And they'll be thinking about it, and they'll be looking it up, and they'll be wondering. But the thing is that when you're doing a presentation, you want to be loving. You want to talk about, you want the story, like your kid. He loved the story. Daddy, read me a story. So the story is, one day I went to work, and I was on the train heading downtown to London, and out comes my cat from the bag. And then I wondered, what's my cat doing here? But then I remembered, I don't even have a cat. The people be laughing like, where the hell this cat came from? So, then you can make up a little story that you put your bag down, somebody's cat on the platform got in your bag or whatever. But the thing is, there's an importance of pausing, leaning in, pulling back, hands going and distracting. If it's stressful, there was a time, like around the time my father died, I need a moment. You don't need a moment, but you can take a moment so people can see you're sad. You're acting. All you're doing is acting. But you want to take them on this journey so they feel the sadness. Oh my God, I'm so sorry about your dad, and then you build a story, that you found out that you were adopted. Then you weren't so sad after that, because he really wasn't your real dad, and he never really was around for your mom. So, you sort of go with that, and people are like, I hear you. Yeah, that happened to me too. But you've got to take people on a little bit of a journey. So I wanted to talk about, who is the name? I can't see this
Let's
lovely
talk to
lady's name.
Yeah,
What is
Gladys. So Gladys is here. How you doing,
Gladys? Hey, Gladys. So we're talking about, what are your thoughts on what needs to be in a speech that's humorous, or to deliver something? If something is funny to you, what do you need for it to make you laugh?
Humor. Well, hello, Annie and Elaine. Nice meeting you. What do I need to make it funny? I don't think that I don't think I have a sense of humor. So, but certain things are humorous. A lot of times, things that we consider a tragedy, comedians turn it around and make humor of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, those things, I find humor in that.
Okay.
Um,
So if you had to deliver a presentation and they said add humor, you would feel like, I can't do it. You just tell your manager, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. You can't make me. I'm not going to do it.
I wouldn't do it because I don't really have a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. Would not do it. I said, if the manager said, I have $3,000, can you do it now?
well, maybe I could think of something. At that point, you know how the saying goes: we all have a price.
We all have a price. We all have a price. I mean, I'm not asking you to go kill anybody, because that price will be much higher.
So
Excellent. So you can be persuaded to speak. There is a price point where you can. And the thing is, not everybody has to give a speech that's like knocked down, people falling on the floor. The thing is, it needs to be enough of a blend so that when people hear the laugh or they hear the punchline, that they feel, wow, that was funny. They can say that was funny without having to hold their tummy and almost pass out from laughing. So there's different degrees. You've been to conferences where somebody says something and people laugh out and you're like, what was that? What was the punchline? And the issue when you don't catch the punchline is the problem. People don't catch the punchline because maybe they're not familiar with the word that was let go by the speaker, or the speaker took it at a level that only higher level individuals would understand. And so that's a little bit of a problem. So what I want us to do today, I have a one sheet, I call it my laughing event sheet, but it's a one sheeter that will help you to write a speech or just write a little presentation based on humor. So I want you to, step one, pick a topic that's suitable for something that you feel you know. Now, if you decide you want to talk about quantum physics and polarization of the moon, go right ahead. But if you don't know the topic, I would suggest that you only talk about what you do know. So pick a topic. And what is the setup? So, so who's left in the room? There's Sharon and there's Tubalia.
Tubalova. No,
Tubalova.
there's more people here.
Okay, so
They're just not
Tobalova, we'll start with Tobalova. What kind of topic did you pick as a setup?
No,
What do you
okay.
think?
So in the studio we have me and Gladys with you.
Okay,
Calm has just joined us.
Carlos?
Calm, Mr. Calm.
Calm, yes, Mr. Michael Calm. Okay, so Gladys Calm and Tobalova left. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me check with Annie first. Annie, what other is a topic that you feel you can talk on? Something that your audience has experienced, something that you notice that you want to talk about.
Childhood, I suppose. No, I'm talking to a group of kids, so why not? Young people.
Say that.
So I'm talking to a group of young people, a group of kids. So I suppose my childhood is something that we have in common, right?
Okay, so childhood dysfunction.
Growing up in Africa, yeah, as a child.
Okay.
Okay, now that's a good one. I say, and that's something I might want to actually talk about in my presentation, and I'll talk about it. I say it's whether I can talk about it with humor or not.
Okay, so what would be the focus of growing up in Africa? The challenges of growing up, or the best things, or the best food, or the nasty
No.
food,
It's more the challenges, because this will come up when we talk about them telling me, but Annie, you don't know how hard my life is. And then I'll play the game of, okay, let's play the who's had life the hardest. And I've had the same life as they had, so there you go.
Okay, Gladys, what would be a topic you would choose? Let me watch the time. Oh, we're getting close on time.
I'm thinking about self-care, how we just don't really pamper ourselves enough.
Mm-hmm.
We just deal with a lot of stress, and we need to de-stress, in other words.
Lack of self-care for women.
Yes.
Okay.
Men need it too.
Okay, women and men. And Calm, what's your topic that you feel would be reasonable based on the people that you work with or serve? What are some of the topics that you feel you could talk on that we can build a joke with?
Give me a moment. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay,
Does
we're
that
going to
sound
move to the. So when you're ready, just sort of put it in the chat or let me know. Annie, what's the second step? What's an unexpected twist, a punchline?
I will.
Okay. Annie, what's a punchline based on something that's unexpected, based on the challenges growing up in Africa? What is something that you could say, like something exaggerated? Flipping the switch would mean something that was something was never expected. It's like, oh my God, really? Or comparison.
Mm.
Like here, they give an example. The server was sweating like it ran a marathon. Now, those servers can't run a marathon. So when you talk about challenges growing up in Africa, you could say something like, it was really challenging when we had to put on our snow boots. Now, everybody knows that maybe up near the top of the mountains where they go climbing, there might be snow, but for the most part, Africa never sees snow.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I think we'll go back to me and Gladys, where irony makes us laugh. And truth is
Yeah, but is everybody in your audience like you? That's the
no,
problem.
no. It's
So,
Nobody's like me.
I don't know. I don't know. Welcome, Sam. Welcome, my friend. I said
hi,
no.
Sam. Hi, Sam.
That's why look. The story is simply with all the hardships, and survive we must.
Okay. Okay, but you're not telling you're telling something funny. So you want to get the
No,
audience to go in one direction when really the joke is going to take them in at the end, the last point, that irony of the joke. But because you want them to laugh, is that correct?
I want them to laugh. I don't know whether it's by telling them a joke. Like I said, all I can do is tell them a story. And if you tell me otherwise, I'll listen. I'm saying,
Okay, well, you can call it a story if you want, but the thing is, if you want, do you want them to cry? I have done presentations where people have actually cried. I did a story on Black history. The book is called "The People Could Fly," and it was about Black people on a farm being mistreated by the handler, and at some point they decided to raise their arms and fly over the fence, and they flew away from the farm, and there was none of them left. You can turn that story into, well, that was similar to how I saw those eagles in my backyard. They were just tearing up some piece of dead meat or something. So you just turn it into a different story. But what I'm saying is that you initially said, hey, I need help, I want to tell a joke at a presentation. And then now we're looking at, how do we just add irony? Now, if you have this joke and it's only irony, Emmy, what's going to happen is that people will be like, oh, I get it. And then that's going to be all the reaction you'll get out of them. You won't get that deep belly laugh. So if you want a deep belly laugh, you're going to have to build that story. So let's look at Sam. So Sam, were you able to pick a situation, or can you pick a situation? And I'm going to come back to Grace. I'm sorry, Gladys, for your unexpected twist. So Sam, hi, how you doing? And I
it
think,
sounds like you meet. Oh, okay, you're back again, Sam.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes, I
yeah,
hear you now.
you're
I
muted
hear
for a
you.
second.
Yeah. I said, can you add a little bit more context, so that I?
Yeah. So when you tell a story, when you hear a joke, what do you think is the first thing you need to build in the joke? So what we're doing right now is building the joke. So you pick a reliable topic, something about your audience or the people you work with. Let's say your manager asks you to give a presentation, and he says, I want you to talk about last year's revenue.
So I'm an
So,
entrepreneur. I don't have a manager, but I get your point.
yeah.
Um, so to your point, for me, I feel like what's funny is a little bit of self-deprecation, that, and also like a little bit of common sense. So, for example, I do work with coaches, but it's more health coaches. So something like, you know, I'm not that funny, so I can't think of something. See, I just made you laugh. See, I got it. See,
Yeah, but
little
as
bit
a
of
health coach, as
little
a
bit of
health coach,
self-deprecation, and it works.
as a health coach, Sam, have you ever said to a woman, when did you have your baby?
No, I'm not a health coach. I help health coaches.
You help health coaches. Okay.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
if someone said to you who you coach says, I'm going to ask if they're how many months they are along, that's almost like a setup. Because some women, after they have the baby, like 20 years, 30, 40 years later, they still have a belly. Okay. So I think for you guys, that's something to remember. Don't ask them when their baby's due because they had that baby 20 years ago.
Yeah, don't ask such a question unless you fancy dying there
Yeah,
and then.
yeah. That's almost as bad as a wife asking her husband, "Honey, does this dress make my ass look big?" You're like, "Oh, that's a setup." I love that dress on you, honey. It looks great, but don't talk about her butt, or else it's gonna be a fight.
Well, what's funny is that us men, we might say yes in a nice way, right? Like, yeah, it makes your butt look big in a nice way.
But
But
what
as
if she
women, I
doesn't
don't
like?
think
If what if
it's
she
not
doesn't
just,
like the attention to her rear end?
mm,
You
then
can say something like that dress is so flattering. Oh, that's the best looking dress I've ever seen you wear. And then
what about
leave
it
it
fits your
alone.
curves? Does that work well, or is that still too bad?
Say that. Say it
It
again.
does a great job for it fits your curves. You know, it looks
Oh yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Very
But
nice.
you can also say the curves that I love. Because
Yeah,
if she thinks you don't like if she doesn't like curves or she thinks you don't like her curves, you're back to square one. Am
yeah.
I right, Grace? Grace is like, I'm not getting into this conversation.
Or you could say, or the
I
more,
got I got a job to protect. So when we look at building a speech, and I don't want us to go over too much, but I want to make sure I have a free template for you for attending. But I want you to know that you pick that topic, right? Then you have an unexpected twist. So and he had talked about that sometimes his wife says, you can't talk, you have a speech problem. And his comeback could have been, as I told him, but the women that I met last week, they seemed to like my speech. And she would have been like, what women? Right? So the thing is, I'm encouraging Annie and Grace and Sam and Michael Com and the other Michael, as you're listening, and everyone who's listening, you've got to build the speech, but you also need to consider your audience. You are not your audience. You have iron. You like irony. That's what you like. But what if 90% of the people you're talking to like that in your face punchline? What are you going to do? You're going to have to find a way to act it out. Act it. Oh my God, that was so funny. Oh, you don't find it funny, but you know the punchline was built the right way. The second step is to add an unexpected twist. The joke that I told earlier, it was about the priest walking in the aisle down the street, and they saw drug addicts. You would have been like, "Oh man, get the hell out of there! They're gonna stab you with a needle or something." But the
Yeah.
priest went down the aisle, and they're like, "My sons." And when somebody calls you your son, my son, you're like, "Oh," or my sister. Like a lot of African women say, "Oh, my sister, my sister." So you feel some kind of way because somebody's called you something, or hey, bro, or something like that. Do a fist bump. It's a way to normalize in case the person feels uncomfortable. And so one of the things that the twist was that they were talking to the drug addicts and told them, don't share needles. You can get AIDS. And what's interesting about the punchline, somebody, maybe 1 or 0.5% of people might believe that if you're wearing a condom, but you're sharing needles, you can't get AIDS. How crazy is that? How crazy. So the punchline, Sam, you didn't get to hear the joke, But the punchline, the priest went down and don't do that. You're gonna get drugs. So when you're telling a story, you gotta be this smooth, let the words flow, and tell it like a real story on a storm. And the priest said, don't do it. You're gonna get AIDS. And they said, Father, don't worry. We don't worry about AIDS. We're wearing condoms. It's like, what the hell? And so that is the joke. I don't want to go into heavier jokes. Also, you can have an optional tagline, something extra, like, and it could be that somebody else says, oh, I tried that too, but I got AIDS. How is that possible? So you could be, maybe they were in a clinic. You can change the story around and say they were in a clinic. Two guys came in and said, we use IV drugs all the time. We got AIDS. We're not sure what happened because we're wearing condoms. Then they're like, oh my, everybody's like, oh my God, is that true? So you can build a story and make it more exciting, or make it more, or make it dull it down, or use something else than the thought of using prophylactics, maybe some other topic, especially if there's women in the audience.
Well, exactly, because for my audience is mainly women. I mean, you're a coach. A lot of health coaches are women. A lot of providers are women. So my target market is mainly women. So to your point, you have to know your audience.
Mm-hmm.
So the type of humor that I say that me and Annie might laugh at, or me and David might laugh at, and the type of humor that you and Miss Bryce will laugh at is very different, right? Or you sometimes have also found that the women are the ones that throw out the first cuss word, in a meeting, and that kind of puts me at ease to say, okay, now I understand who I'm dealing with, right? I found that the case in a lot of meetings too. So correct me if I'm wrong, or I guess this is a question / comment, but when it comes to humor in technical presentations, you have to know your target audience, because for example, let's say you're a white guy and you're making race jokes, and that's not going to fly if your target market is people of color, right? Or you're making sexist jokes, right? Or maybe the person. So it definitely differs. But I got a meeting that I got to hop on to.
Must be nice.
You can see, you can listen to the recording. It's nice to meet you. Let me not hold you up. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. So Coach David's here. So, look, I'll say this. Let me welcome Esther first of all. Esther, thank you for joining us. Jokes should be some parts. There should be some sort of icebreaker in a presentation. Yeah, I'm sure you agree with that, right?
Okay, let me just see this. She says joke should be an icebreaker. Yeah, it shouldn't be the whole presentation. It can be in the very beginning, and then you sort of close it out, and to remind them of the joke, because especially if they laughed and they liked the joke. But you know what? Sam brings a good point. He says that sometimes the women bring out the curse word first. But I think as a man, you should never fall for that trick. Because women are cursing in a conference, well, as soon as you do it, there's going to be one woman that says, oh my God, he said that bad word. And
I'm offended.
Me too. And I need 10 million to feel better. You cannot go but you know what? What's his name? A tall guy. I can't remember his name. Yeah, but there are a couple of them that they probably have a disclaimer. Just so you know, we use colorful language, and if you don't like that, go elsewhere, because we're going to do it. That you don't have a chance to sue them. But as a business owner, you really cannot afford to let women, I've heard guys say, oh, the women were trying to come on to them. You have to say, hey, that's unacceptable. And you've got to say it loud enough that other people hear. So I would never, as a woman, encourage cursing in a conference. Although I would love to have a evening where you're just talking, you just let it go. But the thing is, some people, they say they like that, but when they get in the environment, they feel uncomfortable. Something comes up for them, something their mother told them when they were 5 years old. Who knows? And so, so I know that you want to close this down in a timely manner. And David, I know that you're here. Thank you so much. I love your suit. I love that, especially if your wife has a matching one and your kids. That's even better, right? Right, any any no laughing. Hey, David, how you doing?
Thank you, Elaine. I'm excited. I hope you can hear me.
I hear
Yeah,
you. I hear you. I hear you. So we've been talking about building a speech. And the thing is, Grace, Gladys, were you able to come up with a twist? Because I know you were talking about you're in your field. You are very serious. And at what point do you feel you would do a presentation? Let's say at your daughter's wedding, you had to give some kind of talk, and maybe you had to mention something funny. Like 25 years ago, I didn't know I'd be standing here like this talking about my own daughter, something like that. You want to bring it, so that people either feel sad or they feel happy. You got to get an emotion. What do you think?
I agree, but again, I don't really have a sense of humor. I would probably maybe steal a joke from a comedian. Maybe that would work.
Okay, but if you stole a joke from a comedian, would you be able to practice it and act out and do facial expressions, gestures, tonality?
I probably would. I would definitely practice, but I would change things around a little. I don't want to be a copycat. I want to at least switch it up a little bit.
Okay. I think that that's fair. That's fair. And the thing is, you can always say, hey, don't blame me. This is a speech from so and so. So the fact that you dropped the name of somebody famous, they're going to be like happy that you're giving them a happy feeling, and they'll smile because of that. Even if you miss the punchline, the important thing is don't go on and on about the story and then say, oh, wait a minute, I forgot. Because that's like riding a bike and then somebody's put the brakes on and then now they're going. And it's like, what the hell? So the bottom line is that you've got to practice it, practice it, practice it. And then when you deliver, you've got to have those pacings. And then he said, let me see if I remember. Boom. And you come in with it. And they're like, whoa. And I know you've seen people give jokes like that. Like you go to some place and somebody's like the life of the party, talking and giving jokes and stuff, and everybody's laughing, buying him drinks. Yeah. I mean, this session is not to make you a professional speaker, but to get you, number one, more comfortable with speaking, and also to get you comfortable with adding a little piece of humor here or there. And that if somebody says something to you that's out of order, that you have a comeback. If somebody disrespects you, you can say something like, and I expected that of you. What they going to say? Especially if they said something nasty in front of other people, they'd be like, ooh, you said, oh, I expected that from you. Look, it's in my notes. Look, and you don't even have the name on the paper. Right? Like, look, your name is here. Blah, blah, blah. And you read, and you say their name, and you say back what they said to you. See, it's here. They're like, I want to see it. No, this is my proof for HR.
Well, it makes a difference. It really does make a difference because you don't want to be bored to death. So, yeah, having a sense of humor does help when you're giving a presentation.
It does. And, I get where you're coming from, Gladys. My parents were like, no smiling. Keep yourself serious. Don't let anybody take advantage of you. So he's like, little kid, like sitting there all face, you go someplace, you can't smile with anybody, all that. It affects you as you get older.
Yeah.
It affects you. And you probably, are you a person that works with numbers?
No.
You don't. Okay. People that work with like accountants and lawyers and people like those kind of people have a hard time coming out of that. I am the accountant. I am the whatever, and then they sit in that box,
They
and
need to
so
relax a little. Yeah.
oh, it's important, but then again, you don't know how to relax. And I would never expect you to be like, I have a part-time job doing stand-up comedy on the weekend. I would never expect you to be doing. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go to that show. I
You
do
never
not
know.
want to go to that. It's like, hey, Gladys, I'll see you afterwards. We'll go for lunch or something. This
Right.
has been so. Emmy, was I helpful
Yeah,
in
yeah. That's it.
preparing you?
Yeah, you certainly were. Let me work on Linda. Let me work on Christy as well. Thank you for joining us. And my book launch for my new client is next week, Wednesday. Hopefully you will join us. I need you all to buy the book, right? So it's 99 cents. Anyway, look, and look, I've taken what you said, and I think I can make something. I can flip the script almost when it comes to growing up in Nigeria and the hot weather, running around, being injected, so and living like the other kids do, right? The orphanage and so on and so forth. And
Well,
then
you can make up. You can
yeah,
make up stuff. You said I had a moped. You can make it up that you had something way more than what you did have. People like,
so
damn.
I would turn it around to then feeling the snow, on that November day when my dad forgot to get us coats.
Dad was late getting to the meeting because he had to plow the snow in the driveway.
Literally, would say we got out of the airport and it was snowing and he didn't get us coats. And we were like, what the hell? So it's a true story, Gladys, and it fits into your and I's personality where we talk about the truth, but it's easy the other extreme, right? And it is part of my story. So
Yeah.
I can deliver that authentically without feeling too bad, right?
If you want to deliver the presentation to me, I do that, no charge, don't worry about it. But if you want to deliver the presentation to me and I evaluate how you do, I think presentation and how you dress is important. A nice suit with a nice tie.
No tie. No, tailor suits, no tie.
No tie?
No.
Why?
It's Ghana. It's too hot. I don't wear ties. I've got ties, but I don't wear them. I don't know. The suit is worth it alone. So say what you like. The fact that I don't wear a tie is my choice.
That's fine.
And I don't mean you. I mean everyone. That's why.
Oh no, I've been married. I know when a man doesn't want to do something. It's like it's okay. I won't be cooking tonight. It's okay. No dinner for you.
Look, I may come back to you next week, and I say I'm going to Ghana on Thursday night, Friday morning. So I say I will have to start rehearsing. See, I know what I'm going to say. I know the sections. I know the stories I want to tell.
Why do you not have it typed up? Why do you not have cue cards?
I don't think I need cue cards. As I'm telling stories.
But the point that your wife made is that you stutter. You stutter.
I don't.
How do you get? Huh?
I know the story. I practice it every day. What I haven't done is write it down. I don't need to write it down. I know what it is. Look, Dale Carnegie said, "Know your story. Practice it every day. Play in your head when you're walking down the road. Play in your head when you're working. Play in your head." That's what I've done. But I said I'll deliver it to you, and then you can refine it if you want. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, whatever you want. I'm here to help you. And for those of you who are listening, this is a hard-headed man that don't want to listen to a woman. You see.
Yeah, it's not true. It's not true. It's not true.
It's all right. It's all right. Everybody has their own style.
It's not. Yeah. No, I take that. So I don't want to be looking at a bit of paper at all. I know what I'm going to say. I know the sequence in my conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my thing is just make sure I don't run over or go too far under. whilst also telling my couple of funny bits. So, but I'll come to you and then say I'll happily get feedback from you, Lee. It's fine.
No problem. No problem. I'm here. I'm not laughing or anything. This is serious. When it comes to public speaking, I am serious. I need to know where should I be at 5 minutes, 12 seconds. Okay, I'm on time. I'm on time. I'm on time. If you don't time it and know where you should be and what you will run and you'll be talking for 2 hours straight.
Yeah. No, I haven't got 2 hours. I got 15 minutes. I got 20 minutes max. So I'll get to 15
Gladys,
minutes.
I'm looking at you.
Why?
15 minutes.
Yes.
Well, you got to hit it. You got to hit that ball out of the park right away.
I just got to tell the stories I want to tell and get to the points I make the points I want to make.
Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of time, like a ramp time, like when the plane needs enough time to rear up to get the plane off the ground. You're going to have to start early and hit it hard early. Wow, yes. 15 minutes.
There are full sections. I need to make my points in each section. That's all.
You are traveling to Africa to talk for 15 minutes?
Yes. It could be 20 if I let it be, but 15 minutes would do me.
I want to send you some money to get me dashiki or something.
Yeah. By all means, let's do it early so I can find out from them, from William, exactly what's involved. So welcome, Dr. Joseph. I see you. How you doing? It's Elaine's amazingly phony. No, it's amazingly funny. Not phony.
I'm a phony?
No, he doesn't. Does he know you? It means funny, I'm sure.
I don't know him.
Right.
Oh, you know why he said that? Because I can't hit him from here. That's okay. Let me add you to my list. I have a list of people. I told them when I see you, I'm going to hit you. They're like, oh, no, don't hit me. Put your name on the list. Dr. Joseph, is this NYOY? Yeah, I got it.
Coach David, what's your strategy? I guess, do you have a question? Do you have a strategy? How do you add humor to your presentations, my friend?
Okay, I had the unique blessing of being a comedian once.
Carry on. That's not okay.
So I wrote in the chat. I went to see a very elderly comedian. When I say elderly, he's known comedy at that time for about 20 years. When I wanted to do comedy right out of university, I just was curious about what comedy was about. So he gave me some materials. So there are materials, and thank you, Elaine. Those are very powerful things you mentioned. There's a way to craft jokes. There's the comic mind. Then when it comes to the use of comedy in professional settings, I was blessed to also get a couple of books. They are in my library in Nigeria, not in the UK. But these are also, for example, I have the 5,000 laugh out loud jokes and one-liners. I have that particular one here in the UK. And the beautiful thing is that it's divided into the topics and the areas. If you are talking debit and credit, you're talking financial statements, whatever topic under that subtopic you want to train under. And some of them are very illustrative. So I recommend everyone who's going to be a speaker within professional circles to look for any of these materials and at least go through them. You're going to find some that works for your scenario and is not in any way, it won't be offensive to the context or the culture or the environment. They've been crafted a certain way, and there are large volumes of these. Comedians use them all the time. That's the first thing. Number two is that I do very long trainings. I train the PMP certification. That's the project management professional certification. That's 40 hours and some very heavy stuff. Whole day, morning to evening, adults sitting down. At some point, they get iffy, shifty, they get tired. But before that point, I carried them through. I mean, the experiences have been very wonderful. I use humor and I listen well. I use it with the subject. I weave it with the subject, and like Elaine said, you must prepare for it. You must look at the material, look at the slide, imagine and picture, do stage analysis. The PowerPoint and the joke must land together with the timing. For example, generally after lunch, people get tired and bored. I have more jokes in the afternoons, and because I know people will be tired, I play a mental movie of the hours from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock because I want the class. What kind of energy do I want the class to have? And I'm also making people think deeper by allowing them to talk more and facilitate inside the joke. I create some drama and all of that. Anyway, the bigger point is there's a way to craft jokes in professional setting. Although the caveat is that some jokes should not be said if you're not a some things can be offensive to some crowd, like we said, and you can lose people altogether and lose big money altogether.
Yeah.
You can lose very big perception, you can lose big money. I mean, for example, you don't make jokes around a couple of things, and increasingly the world is getting more politically correct. I'm slightly stuck in my internal belief system, but nowadays we have to be light. For example, you can't tell people brazenly that they contributed to their own hurt, for example, as a subject, that you are also a participant when you are hurt. But that's a strong factor of life, for example. So what's the bigger point? You must be able to use comedy. Let me say the last one because Annie and I are working on me speaking not for too long. This is it. Everything you will do will be carried through the pipe of communication. Communication is a pipe. It's a Think about it like a carriage that you use to manage work. All of your deliverables in project management will be managed by communication. 90% of the time a project manager is communicating. That's what the textbook says. Either you are writing an email, you are in a meeting, majority of your function will be done by communication. You don't want to be boring. People are going to get used to your voice. And it must be pleasant, memorable interaction all the time. So you would need humor. It's not a matter of maybe. If a project manager or someone that manages projects and you're in leadership position, you will communicate. I mean, to whom much is given, blood is expected. That's a humorous way is of saying you're the project manager. So if you don't want to become project damager, if you're a true project manager, you don't want to be a project damager. Communication and in a way that people will not get tired of your voice. And if they see your phone call or SMS or message at some odd hours, the first thing shouldn't be offensive or we are tired. So humor is a very wonderful tool that I think every project manager should master. In my experience as a project manager and in project management training, practically speaking, humor does a lot. There have been log jams that humor has broken. I mean, when you have the more complex the project, the more you would need to be able to make everybody laugh at the right time. People should be willing to work with you. And that's a skill that on your communication and humor helps you. Humor also helps you break people's barriers. It also releases pheromones. It releases the beautiful hormones that make work pleasant. I mean, you're excited to be around some people because they radiate an aura of friendliness, of hope, of camaraderie. Now, you yourself must be an embodiment of humor. You must you must acquire that state of mind before you attempt to communicate it. Otherwise, it's going to be funny. Last line: make sure that the joke is funny. There's nothing as funny as a comedian or a joke that is not funny.
Mm.
On that note, I will yield the mic.
Coach David, I need you to come and do one of my Africa business talks. We need,
Awesome.
we need to do your divine inspiration in our Thinking Differently series.
Awesome. This presentation was so good. This was so good. This was Joyce, Dave, everybody. I appreciate you so much. So nice to meet you. I'll make sure that we connect on LinkedIn. Again, my information is in that bio. Make sure you connect with me.
That's a bio in the comments, right? That's a bio that I posted in the comments.
Right, and it's in the on the LinkedIn profile. When I saw it at the bottom, my link, that link has my, and I appreciate you doing that. Yeah, we'll connect this weekend or Monday or Tuesday before you travel, and give you some more tips on preparedness and getting rid of the nervous jitters so that you command the stage. But
there's
I'm looking
no
forward.
nerves. When I command the stage, it's a different conversation. There's no nerves. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm quite relaxed, and I will do what I have to do. So it's what I do well or not, Elaine. Hopefully,
Oh, you're gonna do well, or don't come home.
My son will be very upset with that.
If you don't do well, cancel your trip home. That's how I go. I'll call your wife, tell her. She'll be like, okay.
You've given me a lot to work with, and so now I am now thinking of how to tell that part of the story. So which bits I pick, for example. So by the time we'll talk on Tuesday, I'll have it, as Coach David says, I'll practice. The delivery. That will end with me giving maximum points, maximum hardship points for the person who's experienced the snow like I had. Yeah.
And you know what, Annie? Let me just quickly say this. Africans are actually more open, and you have much more context because you're also an African coming from the diaspora. The other part is that you can also watch a few comedy clips. If you're keen on using comedy, you can watch a few comedy clips on YouTube to put you in the mood. There's acquiring the comic mind. If you're a serious-minded person, you have to loosen your mind. If you don't think funny, you can't speak or act funny because the mind and the body are one. So you need to prime yourself to be in a very comic zone for starters. Imagine you start, for example, look at what I said now. Imagine you start. I've put you into the picture mode. So you have to see yourself on stage and watching comic videos on YouTube of African comedians, not British ones. African comedians, not British ones, because you're going to speak to Africans. Some things are funny in the UK, but they're not funny in Lagos. We don't even understand the context. Do you understand? So that's what I wanted to add, that you can watch clips. But Elian, thank you, and Beatrice, GB. Sorry, I always forget your name. I'm sorry about that.
Gladys, also, you have Gladys on
Gladys.
I will get all confused.
Nice meeting you, Gladys and David. And Annie, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. And those who are listening to the recording, do not fear public speaking. It is your one time to control the audience, that to have that control of 1,000 people, and whatever you say they'll hear. I mean, it's powerful. So you want to be able to command and say good things and be remembered. So with that, you can close out the call. I'm ready. I'm very happy. Oh, I have a gift to put out for you guys. Annie, I'll send it to you, and you can post that to your network.
Okay, well, so is it something I can attach to the comments or send to in the DMs?
No, I'll send it. I'm gonna save it as a one pager, so it's two-sided. People can print it out however they want, but it's ready to go. I just didn't put it out there earlier because it wasn't something people were going to work on during the actual class.
Superb. So I'll go through the people who are here, and then I'll send it to your DMs, my friends. That's probably easy.
Excellent. Everybody have a great Friday. This Friday.
It's a weekend.
I know.
Thank you, Elaine.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I hope everybody out there got something. Contact me if you need more information or help or support. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Take care, Eddie and Coach and Elaine. Take care.
Bye, David. Bye.
She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com and celebrate